African countries are paying 8 times more for borrowing than European countries due to high-risk perception by investors and rating agencies. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, says the distorted perception has seen private sector creditors charge sky-high interest rates to developing countries.
The African continent has high debt amounting to more than 157 trillion shillings. It is estimated that 24 of the 54 lower-income countries at high risk of debt distress are in Africa, including Nigeria and Egypt, according to the latest United Nations Development Programme report. In the last 2 years, Ghana, Zambia and Mali have suspended payments on external debts and are at the risk of default. While highlighting the alarming debt crisis, UNCTAD Secretary General Rebecca Ginspan noted that the international financial system is unfair to African countries, as on average they pay 8 times more for borrowing than most European countries and 4 times than American countries.
We have to admit that the international financial system is asymmetric, and that if we don't change certain rules, the system only reproduces the asymmetries.
She says basic indicators have distorted the perception of risk by investors and rating agencies, calling for reforms and adoption of a more universal system.
Let me be sincere saying that the rating agencies don't help. They really hurt us because their perception of risk reproduce that perception and not necessarily the reality of the economics.
UNCTAD is also advocating for better liquidity and institutional system for debt restructuring in developing countries, citing African governments are spending a greater proportion of their revenue in debt servicing, leaving no money to invest in social and economic development.
It's like us having a loan from a bank. If the interest rates are high and your debt is high, you have to change the way you live. You cannot eat well every day. You'll have to eat less. And it's the same thing with government. They have less money to be able to invest.
Kenya's public debt as of the last financial year that ended in June was at 10.19 trillion shillings, surpassing the debt ceiling. This as the government gave National Treasury 5 years to have brought down the debt to 55% of the GDP. Now, the government's position is that it will pay its debt once they fall due and cut the deficit. Waiting Mujenga for Prime Edition.